is the Riot Podcast. Good morning.
Happy Thursday.
Or whenever you're listening. It's morning for us.
Gosh, look at us. We put a date and a time of day.
Yeah. Well, happy Thursday.
We take Thursday and we take morning way back.
Yep. And let's see. What do we get to today? Was there anything interesting?
It's hard for us to remember the show stuff right after the show.
Yep.
So I know we covered, I think, some good stuff.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I can't remember it.
You know what? Here's what I've got.
That's why you have to make a list.
My favorite thing of the day is that Candace Parker is the first female athlete to be on the NBA 2K video game cover.
Wait till you hear Hudson explain it to us.
Yes.
You mansplained.
I feel that I have a unique take. And I feel like I speak for women everywhere when I present that take.
And I'm glad to hear it with what you got to say. So, especially ladies, can we all just really be anticipating to hear Hudson explain it all to us?
I really want you to support me because I'm supporting you. I'm supporting women, and I'd appreciate your support in return.
A vote for Hudson is a vote for women.
For women everywhere, yes. I also really like that the New York Post columnist and his thoughts on Subway, because the new menu items are out. And Nikki and I,
he's a grumpy old man.
Yeah, and we're not going to try them, but I feel that this man for the New York Post speaks for us.
Okay, so
at least he
goes
speaks
over
for me.
his
That's
reviews
for sure.
for that.
And let's see. Earlier on in the podcast, we've got Chuck E. Cheese pizza and where you can find that. That's not a Chuck E. Cheese. We've got my thoughts on Loki.
Yeah.
I really don't think I spoil anything with it. So if you haven't seen it, you can.
I think they're fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I guess if you haven't seen it yet, there's a season 2 that is coming, and we already know that. And that's kind of why I have a problem with the finale. So let's get to that. And then finally, the next thing you're going to hear is Joe Exotic, the Nicolas Cage Amazon series isn't happening.
Right.
And you get to hear my Nicolas Cage impression, and you can judge that for yourself.
You might want to work on that more for our next Nicolas Cage story.
I do, whenever there's another story. He seems to come up every so often.
We also talked this morning about a TikTok guy that's been posting these videos on emergency alert systems.
Yeah.
And so if you want to check out, because he just came out with his third one.
Yes.
You can head over to RadioU Riot on our Facebook page. Say hi to us there. Make sure to follow us there. Catch our after show from yesterday. So extra stuff on Facebook for you today.
And we'll let you guys in on a little bonus. Tomorrow, we are going to be eating Cheetos Pepper Puffs for
They're
the show.
supposed to be the hottest ever.
Yeah.
So the bag says.
Hotter than flaming hot, huh?
I guess. We'll find
Yikes.
out. So that's tomorrow. We'll do that during the show.
I'll need extra La Croix for that.
Well, you want to pre-sparkle and then have your after sparkling water ready.
To wash it down to make sure that I don't get too overwhelmed.
Well, thanks guys for listening to the podcast today.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
The Riot really wanted to do this live, but now they can play video games and eat rice cakes instead. This is the worst of the Riot Podcast.
The Amazon series all about Joe Exotic. Remember him?
Yeah, that one.
It is no more.
I thought you were going to say, like, what, Lord of the Rings? Because we're never getting that, but they're not quitting it.
They won't announce that they're quitting that because they can just keep stringing you along. And for a few people, that might be what's holding them on with their subscription to Amazon.
I feel like Amazon spent way more on the Lord of the Rings stuff than the Joe Exotic stuff.
Yeah.
So if something has to go out of the two, it's probably that one.
Well, this is the one. It was going to star Nicolas Cage, and I do need to clarify because if you remember, it was right around a year and a few months back because it was spring of 2020.
Yeah.
We were right going into the pandemic, and everybody fell in love with the Joe Exotic show.
Sure.
Now, I don't think they necessarily, just to be clear.
Love's a strong word.
Well, I don't know if we fell in love with the characters as much as just the show was very compelling at the time.
It was
a phenomenon.
A combination of less to do.
Yep.
Not much to watch.
You know what? That might have been the last show I actually went through on Netflix.
I think
at least
so.
the last Netflix original.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal at the time. And then it did not take long after that before every single outlet was announcing that they were doing a Joe Exotic something. And Amazon was one of the first, and really, to be honest with you, possibly the only one that sounded interesting.
Yeah.
Because they were going to have Nicolas Cage do it.
Yeah.
And if somebody's going to play Joe Exotic, it'd have to be Nicolas Cage.
So he was saying that he had read a couple of scripts, and it was a very professional answer. He said that
hold on.
They're amazing, basically.
He said, we should clear. I'm trying to do Nicolas Cage.
Get into it.
I think we should try to clear the record. Does that sound like him at all?
I don't think it
does. I read 2 excellent scripts, which I did think were very excellent.
No,
is that Nicolas Cage at all?
No, you sound like one of those characters from Portlandia.
I was thinking, yes, like the Californians from Saturday Night Live. Stuart, what are you doing here? I just took the 405.
I'm so glad you get that. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's one of the few Saturday Night Live sketches from the last decade that's been good. But
oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we should clear the record. I read.
This is a jam.
How do you do a Nicolas Cage impression?
You're going to have to watch some references and kind of come back at us.
I'm going to go check out Burning Man and The Wicker Man.
Oh, yeah.
Going to have to go watch The Wicker Man and then come back to you. But he read 2 excellent scripts, and he said Amazon ultimately felt that the material had become past tense because it took so long for it to come together, which is absolutely true. Although
none of the other stuff has come about.
Not yet, but they do point out that the Peacock Joe Exotic series is still coming. And speaking of Saturday Night Live, that's the one with Kate McKinnon where she's the big name involved because she's going to be playing Carol Baskin.
Well, good luck to all that stuff. But basically, they're just saying for so much money for Amazon, it's not like we just don't pay attention to the Joe Exotic stuff anymore.
Yeah, well, I guess we could say all of anything scripted with Joe Exotic probably didn't have the same cachet as actually having himself because he was such a eccentric character.
It's a nice way to put
that. And since he's been stuck in jail for so long, you can't really do much with that. So then it's all trying to make a drama out of it, but it's just not the same. And it doesn't have the same kind of attraction.
I just really love when Nicolas Cage stops doing it.
Yeah, that's when you know
it's not important anymore.
Not Peacock. Peacock is going to run it into the ground because they just need something.
Well, they already spent part of the money, so they need you to really watch that.
And they do have their name that they want to attach to it, so they're going to keep trying with it. So if you are really looking forward to some kind of additional Joe Exotic content, at least you still have that.
You'll get something, and I think there was even one other I felt like was like a Lifetime or something along those cable network stuff.
I bet you there's a couple lower budget ones that maybe have already been made. And
Sci-fi.
then they were talking about doing like an additional documentary series or two, because I think one was for Discovery, and then they wanted to follow it up on Netflix, but they can't, there's not much you can do with Joe Exotic, so they were going to follow all the other characters. And, I mean, there's still material to be...
Don't tell them there's still hope.
There's still material. He just got a divorce.
We're fine.
Joe Exotic did.
We're fine.
They're still putting a lot of headlines out about him, even to this day.
We don't need to watch anything about him.
He's made it to the tabloids, at least. He'll always be there.
Anyone can underpromise and overdeliver, except these two. The Riot RadioU.
I don't know if you got to watch any of the NBA Finals Game 4 last night, but the Bucks won.
Hey.
They've evened the series.
Against the Suns?
Yep, 2-2, going back to Phoenix, so that's interesting. But what is more interesting is why Giannis Antetokounmpo, the star player for the Milwaukee Bucks, in the past 2 games, early in the fourth quarter, he is asked to check out of the game.
Can you do that?
You can, you can ask to check out.
Well,
if the coach will let you.
Are you checking out for the rest of the game, or are you just checking out for 5 minutes?
No, he checked out for a brief period of time and then came back.
Okay.
But it's still unusual, especially in the finals, especially early in the fourth quarter, where that's kind of it's getting into crunch time.
Yeah, so people were wondering, why did he take a timeout, a break?
Yep, and he went ahead and answered. Last night, he said that he went to take a tinkle. Those are his words.
Did he say tinkle?
He did say tinkle.
Did?
I went to take the quote is, I went to take a tinkle and came back.
Well, I mean, I guess that's if that's a time when you have to go to the bathroom.
You never think about sports players going to the bathroom.
I just thought they held it. And
you think they hold it for 3-4 hours?
Dude, it's like a car trip. You go to the bathroom before you leave.
Yeah.
And then you hold it until you're done.
And then, all the sweating, I guess you do. Maybe that dehydrates or,
holds it in.
Because I was thinking you're drinking so much water. Or Gatorade or whatever, that would make you have to go. But if you're sweating it all out, it never gets a chance to fill up your bladder.
I think also they were saying that maybe he was a bit too nervous and anxious. And I think that probably causes more. You have to go to the bathroom. Very much
understand that. Yeah, you just need to, sometimes going to the bathroom can really calm you down. And vice versa. If you really need to go to the bathroom, sometimes getting stressed out would be great for you. That'll really make you have to go.
See, normally in stressful situations, that's when you're like, your body's shutting down. Like, no, we don't have to go. We're fine. Yeah. Let's just finish this game up, shall we? But he's saying tinkle, and it's not like he just had a sick stomach or anything.
Yeah. I like that he admits it.
Yeah.
Because that would be the last thing I would want to do. I guess maybe he is faced even though they've won the last 2 games, it could be a criticism of why isn't he there for his team when it's in the most important moments. But, I think it's nice that he admits it.
That he has to go to the bathroom?
I would never want to. I never want any. I always, do you do this, Nikki, when I go to work, when I'm at work?
Yeah.
And I have to go to the bathroom. Almost every time I go to the bathroom, I'm thinking, what am I going to say if somebody asks, why do you keep going to the bathroom? You know what I mean?
Someone's going to call you on it?
Somebody is keeping track of a schedule, and I guess it would be Michael. And one day he's just going to be like, we need to have a talk. Why do you have to go to the bathroom so much?
We've been talking about it. Everybody else has. And now it's time to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, on the show right now.
Well, I haven't heard anybody say anything. So I think you're okay.
I've worked here long enough. So the rumors would have started to swirl if they were going to by this time.
I think that our work environment is probably not as stressful as the NBA finals.
Right.
But
we're pretty flexible.
If you have to go tinkle like this guy, then wasn't there a football coach who always had to go to the bathroom, or he got sick a couple of games?
I don't know. There was somebody. It might have been. Who even was it? It doesn't matter.
I feel like there was someone.
There was a player that they always would go to the tent for several games in a row, and people are like, "What's the tent? Does that mean he's injured or something?" And then I think it was just the bathroom tent.
I couldn't do it.
Which, going to the bathroom in a tent, that's a different level in front of hundreds of, or at least tens of thousands of fans. What if the tent just fell down?
I know. If it blew away and you're just right there, go to the bathroom.
Sounds like we've got to, at least I have a lot of issues with going to the bathroom.
Just don't worry about it.
I'm just letting all out right here.
Think of it as athleisure for your ears. RadioU's Worst of the Riot podcast.
If you are in the range of a Kroger grocery store only, you could go to the frozen aisle, pick up a Chuck E. Cheese pizza, and make it at home.
I saw. Is it under the Pasquale's name, or
it's Chuck E. Cheese. It's got the Chuck E. Cheese. He's right on there. Big giant smile. His 2 teeth staring right at you and
mocking you.
Yep. You get 250 free e-tickets, so it's not just. You can now. This is really encouraging you to live the Chuck E. Cheese lifestyle every single day, whether you go in or whether you just get the frozen version and eat it at home and then rack up those free e-tickets for the next time you actually do go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, I think you can still, on like DoorDash and deliveries, you can order Chuck E. Cheese pizza, but it's under
that different name,
the Pasquale's name. I think
the ghost kitchen version of Chuck E. Cheese.
But now you don't have to pay those delivery prices.
Oh yeah, because they're jacking it up so much. This is.
Dude, it even looks bad tasting.
It's
on the picture.
It's $6.99. I was thinking it looks like
it looks flat.
Yes,
very flat.
Well, it looks like actually there's a frozen pizza called Home Run Inn. Have you ever tried that?
I have not.
Home Run Inn is very good, and it looks similar to that, but I can't imagine that the Chuck E. Cheese one is as good.
Well, look, the parent company of Chuck E. Cheese is called Flatlander Foods.
So there you go.
Flat is key.
Flat pizza. There's no character to it whatsoever.
So it's at Kroger's, but remember, Kroger's also runs Ralph's and a few other places.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it, is it Kroger the same as Albertsons, or is that different?
I don't remember. They own more. So
Yeah.
when we say Kroger, you might actually still find it at other places.
Right. Well, every grocery store is like that. There's Giant Eagle and there's Market District, and they're the same, even though they're not actually, like, they're different names, but they look exactly the same.
You mean what Chuck E. Cheese is doing now?
Right.
It has different names. And it
Rallies
looks the
and
same.
Checkers, Hardee's and Carl's Jr.
Too much.
Yeah.
They don't think we can understand.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, they only have cheese and pepperoni for the Chuck E. Cheese frozen pizzas.
Right. Cheese or pepperoni version. So now you can enjoy Chuck E. Cheese without all the snotty little kids and drunk adults.
I've only been there
Unless that's what you also have at your house.
No. Imagine if you have like a real intense home environment.
Yeah.
You need to make sure when you're eating this pizza, like there's screaming going on. Someone, like, there's game noises in the
lots
background.
of flashing lights and loud noise, loud.
I want some rude workers and rude people. I think that would be perfect.
Stuffed animals hung up on the wall.
Jeez. Gosh, you know what's great is you don't have to leave your house for anything anymore.
No, you can really recreate the Chuck E. Cheese experience at your home. Now you can do it completely, even including the food.
Actually, I bet you if you go onto YouTube, there's some sort of just walk through a Chuck E. Cheese, like while it's active. You can just put that on in the background.
A VR headset.
Yeah.
Don't say we didn't warn you. This is the worst of the riot.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for, my review of Loki. I somehow,
finished it.
against all odds, managed to catch up and finish it on the day that the final episode came out. So I've seen it all.
You came back strong because
I did.
It was earlier this week you caught up a bit because all of us were still, if you were tracking along with Hudson's progress.
We had a few people that would text in every day, and it was like, has Hudson caught up on Loki yet? And man, I don't know. I watched the first episode. I can't even remember now, but I feel like I watched it right away.
Yeah.
And then I liked it, but I did not get around to watching any subsequent episodes, and I fell behind. But then once I watched them, I blew through them because they were so good. Mm-hmm. Right? But then yesterday, now I'm not going to actually spoil any, I'm not going to give you any real spoilers, but just kind of the talking. It inherently could lead to some
careful.
inferences being made,
Be very
and maybe you
careful.
don't even want to have your mind poisoned by my thoughts so that you can go in with a clear mind before you go into the finale.
So give Hudson a second, okay?
Yes, if you, for some reason, don't want to hear about the Loki finale, just pause the radio.
Just for a moment.
Pause the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, skip ahead.
Just tiny. Turn us down. Don't go anywhere else.
Don't
Just turn
leave.
us down.
Yeah, just cover your ears. So the final episode yesterday, or let me say this. It was a beautiful ride to go through these 6-7 episodes, however many it was, of Loki. It was a great show. This is the best Marvel show they've done yet. Although, in full disclosure, I haven't finished The Falcon and Winter Soldier, but that's my next project.
Sure.
Since
But you feel like
since
at
that
this
one
point-
came out first and I haven't finished it, and I finished Loki on the day it finished, I feel like that tells you enough right there. But I was not a fan of how they left the ending of Loki, where
Is it too open or?
it's just, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that. They closed it out, the end credits scene where it says that Loki will return in season 2, and that's fine. You didn't even need that because it was so transparent from how the actual, before the credits rolled, how they ended it, where... Man, I just miss the old days where you could watch a season of a show and there was a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was the show.
But now it's just a lot of people actually don't watch the finales until the second season starts its first episode.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows it's not closing anything up. It's just connecting to keep you anticipated for a new season.
Yeah, and but this is actually a criticism that I've made of the Marvel movies before. Because, okay, we get it. We all know Marvel has their movies and TV shows planned out for the next 5 years or whatever. We all know they're coming. it would be really nice if, knowing that, and they know that we're going to watch them anyways, if they could just give us in each movie a beginning, a middle, and end, and then allude to a future property that's coming up without making it where you don't get really any closure at the end of the movie or show you're watching.
Sure.
And maybe that's why Endgame was so satisfying, because it really was a lot of closure. Like, that really did end. It ended a whole phase of the Marvel Universe. But it gave us all, we had an ending to the story. And with Loki, there's not really an ending at all. Everything is just setting up for Loki season 2. And I guess Loki's going to be in the new Doctor Strange movie, which is all fine. That's great. And I'm looking forward to it. I just wanted the Loki to finish telling the story it was telling in season 1, and I don't think it did.
Oh, no.
You know, we got some reveals, we got some answers, but we didn't get an ending.
Oh, it's common. Zach texted in. He said, Loki's the best Disney Marvel creation so far. I enjoyed it more than a lot of the movies.
Yeah, no, he's right about it. He's right about that. It had a cinematic quality to it. Like, it could have been, they could have, there was a possibility where they could have shortened it and made it into a movie, and it would have worked just as well. But so it had all the values, it had everything until it fell into the same hole that so many of the movies have, where it's like, this isn't actually the end of the story.
Aww.
This is just, you just keep getting middle.
Well, at least you watched it.
Yeah, at least I caught up and I enjoyed it all the way until the last episode, which was still probably the weakest episode of the show, but still a good episode. It was just so disappointing, where I thought, especially with the way WandaVision ended, where it's like they're putting an end to the story, even though we know more stuff is coming with Loki, and they didn't put an end to the story at all.
Well, now's your chance to text Hudson and say, I agree, Hudson,
Yeah.
or Hudson, be quiet.
Yeah.
Whatever you think
We
about
all want to be strung along for the rest of our lives with Marvel.
And you're fine with it.
Yeah.
So text him and let him know your thoughts on if you finished up Loki yesterday.
Yeah, we want to hear what you have to say, and let me say this really loud. Now you can turn the radio back up because I'm done talking about it.
You didn't even spoil, I don't think, anything. I saw that everywhere yesterday. A lot of people were upset about it.
Yeah, there were headlines that were saying there's going to be a season 2.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess you're all right with that.
Worst of the Riot podcast.
Dog trainers are putting us on notice. Maybe not as much you and I, Nikki. We are dog owners.
We are.
Or dog.
And we both have dogs.
Dog parents.
That's right. Because who can own a dog?
No.
But we both have dogs that are anxious.
Yes, that's for sure. They have separation anxiety.
They do. They were anxious before the pandemic, so it's not like we can blame that.
And I think for each of our routines, it didn't change all that much. For some people are out all the time and their dogs are used to the people being out, and then they were stuck at home for a long time. The dogs got used to that.
Yeah.
And now it's hard to go back to the old way, but that's not what happened with us. So our dogs are just a problem. They're just difficult to deal with all the time.
But they have medicine, so it's okay. But they're talking more like, say you got a puppy or you got a dog, even if it was older, but you got it right during the pandemic.
Yes.
So it only knew that with you.
This is dog trainers saying that they are seeing some of their worst cases ever following the pandemic, where people got their puppies at some point, because there was a puppy adoption boom.
There was
during the pandemic, because people just wanted something to entertain themselves. But dogs are more than entertainment.
Well, they wanted company.
Yeah,
I think that was it. You wanted someone to talk to and someone to be there.
Yeah, and so dog adoption went way up. And then what we're seeing is a lot of people that maybe didn't take the care to train their dogs as well when they got them. And now the dog trainers themselves are stuck trying to fix these extreme cases of dogs that just were not trained properly. And maybe the owners, the parents didn't care as much.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to fix that and pick up the pieces.
So you can still my dogs have all gone through doggy camp. And basically it was like 2 weeks where they go stay with a trainer.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say they've forgotten most of it. So super excited.
Yeah. Well, I got my dog when she was about 6 months old.
Yeah.
So she still had a puppy temperament.
Like quality, sure.
Yeah, but she was old enough that she should have been kind of trained. The people we got her from, we just bought her off of Craigslist.
Yeah.
So we didn't know exactly what we were getting into. So there was a lot of retraining to go through there, and it's not as easy once the dog gets a little older. So I agree. It's hard to not just train your dog, but then maintain the training.
That's the shaming part, because then that's on you.
Right.
Like when I come home and I'm like, you went to school for this. I'm telling my dog that, like, and yes, Rolo, you and Sugar are the two that are worst, I believe, out of the two. My one dog, Cinnamon, when she went, you would have thought she was like the trainer was killing her. Just to ask her to sit, she would just be so overwhelmed.
Right.
With like, what? And so she never did well.
Yeah. Well, we've all gotten, I think it's easy to get lazy with your dogs.
Yeah, but this is basically just saying, hey, if your dog doesn't follow the rules, don't worry. No one's dogs are really doing that right now.
And there might not be anything you can do, especially if you don't want to go through the hassle and the expense
of training,
of paying a actual dog trainer. It's not necessary, especially, again, once your dog is a little older. If you don't do it right when they're very young, it is hard to train them once they get older. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
And it also just depends on the breed, too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think, I've always had dogs that are like bigger and everybody gets more intimidated with them.
Yeah.
And they say those are actually the easy ones to train.
Right.
It's the little ones.
Yeah.
The little loud ones are the ones that are really hard.
Yeah.
So if you have one of those, just even grabbing some YouTube videos, just working with them.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to do.
Yeah. So, this is a helpful reminder that if your dog isn't behaving, you're not alone, but also it's your fault.
It's really nice to have another dog owner in the room who also has a dog with some, problems that we all get to work through.
Well, I feel once you start, some people like to be fake about their dogs, they're like, oh no, she would never bark out the window at every single thing that ever moves.
Yes,
and it's like,
would.
No, that's what they do. We all know this, okay? All of our dogs.
My windows
let's be honest,
have little snotty nose prints from dogs all over
mine's
them.
coated in it. I can't clean it fast enough. Especially when a UPS truck shows up.
Oh, yeah, there
That's
it is.
the end of the world.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.
Some history was made yesterday, you could say, for NBA 2K22. The announcement for the game, which comes out on September 10th, has been made, and they announced the cover athletes.
Yeah,
multiple. Because
who can choose?
Right. How can you narrow it down to just one? So the real headline is that the first female cover athlete for NBA 2K22 has been announced. It will be Candace Parker from the WNBA.
That's awesome.
She is going to be on the cover of NBA 2K22. However, I feel that it's a bit hollow of a victory for women. Now, you can see if you agree, Nikki.
Since I am.
Yeah. I don't want to speak for you, but...
Which is a man thing to do.
She is one of... Let me mansplain to you what's going on with the NBA 2K22.
Little lady.
Let me explain to you why you shouldn't be proud of this moment. Because...
Thanks, Hudson. Thank you.
In NBA 2K22, they actually have 5 cover athletes.
Yeah.
With 5 different iterations of the cover, or is it 3 with 5 different athletes? Either way.
So you're saying like 3, she's not the only cover.
She's not the only. She's not even the main cover.
Gotcha.
The standard cover that you would see would feature Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
It's his first ever time being on the cover of a video game also, but he's not a woman, so it's not as big of a deal. But then there's also the 75th anniversary edition of the cover, which is the 75th anniversary of the NBA, not the game, NBA 2K22. And that features Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dirk Nowitzki, and Kevin Durant. So you've got 3 different versions of the cover, even though they're all the same game that you could get. And Candace Parker is on one of them.
I see.
So it still counts as being NBA female cover athlete, but she's not really, to me, the main feature of it. And I think that, so I think they made multiple to try to get the headline out of it, but I don't think they really care about women, is what I'm saying.
They're saying NBA 2K22 is going to be out on September 10th. Now, I've never played the game, but can I ask, like, do they feature WNBA? Like, do we have women players?
I was wondering that as well.
Or is it just men? Does the WNBA get a game?
Yeah, I'm sure the WNBA doesn't get their own version of a video game, which that in itself just goes to show. But I would have to imagine that the WNBA players would be included in this one if they haven't been before, because why would you have Candace Parker on the cover if you can't? And in all these video games now and the sports things, it's partially microtransaction driven, but also just trying to find a way to make things different where they'll have all these historic athletes where you can play as the current teams, the current updated rosters, but you can also have, for example, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who hasn't been in the league for at least probably 30 years. And so why would you exclude the WNBA players when you have all these players, a lot of whom are dead, that can be featured in the game? You can have Candace Parker.
So the NBA 2K22, like Hudson was saying, 3 covers and a total of 5 athletes on it.
And another thing, since who buys physical copies of games anymore? It all seems to be done.
Good call on that.
Where you just download them.
Yeah, so
it really feels hollow. And so we're giving NBA 2K22 the press here, but I don't think they deserve it. I think women deserve better is what I want to say. I'm going to be an advocate for women. I think, Nikki, on your behalf, I want to say NBA 2K22, you should do better.
Thank you for being the voice.
Yeah.
For that. I really appreciate hearing you stand up like that.
Hey, I'm taking a stand for women everywhere.
It's nice to see Hudson do that.
Women are nothing without men speaking up for them.
I enjoy hearing it.
You might be thinking that this won't be quite as bad the second time around. Well, you'd be greatly mistaken. You're listening to the worst of the Riot podcast.
You know, I find that in life, sometimes we can only be about as good as the examples that are set before us.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that.
I mean, it's not that you can't overcome a bad example, but it's so easy to draw the line from your parents weren't great parents, so maybe that's a lot to overcome if you want to be a good parent because you only saw how your parents did it and they didn't do it great. Or if your parents didn't, if their relationship wasn't great, then the cards are stacked against you for you to have strong, healthy relationships if the relationships you saw with your parents weren't strong, right? So it's hard to overcome bad examples. It can be done, but it's not easy. So that's why it's so important to have good examples. And whether your parents are good examples, because that's for most of us, the number one example we see, whether they are or not, that doesn't mean that has to be the only example you see. If you want a good example in your life, God is ready to put that before you. Jesus can be the example for you to follow because unlike your parents who, even if they did great most of the time,
they can still fail
They can still mess up, man. Yeah. Anybody can mess up. We're all human. We all screw up. We all know that. But God is not going to. Jesus is not ever going to have a situation where he gives you the bad advice, where he gives you, something where it's not attainable or something where, he can do it, but you're not going to be able to. God is going to lead you through life where he can be the example for you to follow, and that is going to be good enough. That is going to be, if you stick with that, things are going to go all right for you. And it's and it makes it a lot less for you to overcome in life. If you're ready for that, if you're ready for a good example that you can trust, that you can follow, God is ready to do that for you. And all you need to do is ask and start looking for it. Say, hey, God, I'm ready to start seeing where you want to lead me, what you can do for me and how you want to direct me because, I want to make sure that I'm following the best of the best. I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can with the life that I'm given. And so I want you to help me out with it. Jesus will do that for you. He loves you. He cares about you. And so he's ready to help out. And all you need to do is ask. If you want to know more, RadioU.com/free gift is a great place to start.
The Riot RadioU.
Instant reaction to this story. Text it in 8772 RadioU, or at least instant reaction to this headline. A man in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, has now worked out over 10,000 consecutive days. 10,000 consecutive in a row.
Anybody else think lies?
Liar.
Just lying at me.
There's a handful of different reactions I have. One is, how do we know? Liar, prove it. The second is,
but why does he have to? Why would he lie in the first place?
Yeah, to make it into the news.
Well, I mean, he's older at this point, but
So he just before he. I'm not going to say that. No.
he's not going to for a while because he's so healthy. But
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right about that.
I guess I just forget that even older people could lie too, but why would he at this point?
Yeah.
And the article in the beginning kind of makes it seem like he goes to the gym every day.
Well, it literally says that in the headline, which that actually is a lie.
That feels like a lie because in the article it really makes it seem instead that he was doing the 10,000 days of just working out, which would be a 27-year fitness journey when he started at 38.
Yes, so he's been at it a while. I guess I know the story is supposed to be inspirational, where it's supposed to be like, look at this. He's just a normal man. And when he was 38 years old, he decided that he's not going to let his gut stick out over his chest further than his chest. And so from that's literally what he said. And so from that moment on, he's just decided to work out every single day. And that should be inspiring because any of us can do that.
Yeah.
But that's not how I feel. I either think he's a liar, which maybe is just my way of,
compensate.
Putting up a barrier, a wall, of making an excuse why I can't, or I feel that that this makes me feel bad, that it makes me feel triggered because I can't do this. So it's actually shouldn't be in the news because it's making the rest of us that don't work out feel bad about ourselves.
Now, I haven't watched the video like with his interview. Maybe our problem is the person who wrote this article and like the take on it. And maybe he's not like that at all. Maybe it's just, hey, 10,000 days in a row. Stephanie says if he didn't post it on Facebook, it never happened. The problem is, Stephanie, he started this journey
before Facebook.
Yeah. So 1994 is when he started a 27-year fitness journey, saying that he was 38 at the time and he remembers the day and he's never missed a workout since then.
This guy's been working out since before we were born. He just continues to do it. If you worked out every day of your life, you wouldn't have worked out as much as this man has.
He's definitely got us all
got a head start on you.
And then Cassie was saying, what's the definition of working out? Like 10 reps and that's it. I think Cassie, it looks like he'd go through a full routine.
Yeah, I don't know if he goes through his specific routine, and I'm sure over 10,000 days and 27 years, it's probably changed. But I mean, maybe he's fudging it on a few of the days, but at the end of the day, he's worked out pretty consistently for 27 years, and that should be inspirational to each of us. And
that's not how we take it.
I don't know which gym he goes to. I don't know if it mentions that, but the other thing I think is he's the customer Planet Fitness hates. Why are you actually coming in?
You're not supposed to.
Come on, man. You're just supposed to pay us and leave us alone.
So he said in 2016, he had surgery on his knee. So he did light upper body stuff day after day with it and core work. But the day you had your surgery, I mean, were you working out then?
Yeah, really.
And then he had COVID in January. So he did a lot of stationary bike and running on the treadmill. So he says he still got his workouts in for the last 10,000 days.
Wow. Yeah. So evidently his routine has changed by certain circumstances and whatever. But did we even say his name? Mark Mueller, and he's from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And so
27 years.
Another thought I had was, what else is there to do in Cedar Rapids, Iowa?
Oh, now we're just look at that. Do you hear the jealousy out of us? You just hear it.
I'm surprised they even have a gym.
It's not just him working out.
I've never been to Iowa. I might have driven partly through it, but yeah, I don't know much about Iowa.
Well, there we go. It seems like he was probably trying to be inspirational. And look how we take it.
This is what the Riot's forte is: just tearing down anything that tries to better ourselves, that tries to encourage you to better yourself. You're stuck the way you are.
Basically,
you're
just
out of shape, and it's going to stay that way.
Don't tell us what to do, all right, man?
You know what? Today is the change.
Oh, you're gonna start?
Yeah, from Mark, I'm gonna start working out every day.
10,000 days.
Yeah, I've only got 27 years to go.
I don't want to start till Monday. You never should start something on a Thursday.
Stop, Nikki. He says there's always an excuse. You can always find an excuse not to work out.
It is. It's true, though. You never want to start today.
Just because it's true doesn't mean you should make it.
I think my Apple Watch, for that, it makes you really want to do a 30-minute workout every day. And you're like, that's not long. Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
That's too long. You could watch a whole TV show in that time.
I know. I don't have time.
It was bad enough the first time around, but now it's worse. Don't believe us? Just keep listening. You'll find out soon enough. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
This is what it's come to. This is what the show has turned into. we're not even reviewing the food ourselves anymore. We're gonna talk about somebody else reviewing food.
Hey, it works.
Well, I'm glad this guy did it to save us the trouble, because I didn't want to taste the new Subway menu items.
Oh, yeah.
But we have Steve Cuozzo. He is a columnist, I guess, for the New York Post. And I love the headline. New Subway sandwich menu items taste just as vile as the old ones.
Well, maybe we do like this guy's style then.
I actually really do. I'm interested to read more of his writing, because he went in and tried a bunch of the different new Subway stuff where they completely revamped their menu. And it was earlier this week where they closed down a lot of their stores on, I think it was Tuesday night they closed them. Mm-hmm. Was it Tuesday or Monday? Either way, earlier this week, they closed their stores early so that they could install all this new food. And then on the day that they had launched the new menu, you could get a free sub and stuff like that. And so it's the biggest menu update they've ever done. So Steve Cuozzo went ahead and tried all of the new menu items, and he, like he says, they're just as bad as the ones before. I
forgot that Subway is counted as the world's largest fast food company.
Yeah, because there's a million of them.
Well, 37,500 technically.
Okay. And there's a lot of them, and it's amazing that there's so many because they serve such garbage, especially according to Steve Cuozzo. I love that he says, so the headline was the new sandwich menu tastes just as vile as the old one. And then the first line is, the Subway sandwich changed new menu items, which were rolled out in a blaze of publicity on Tuesday, belong in the real Subway. The deeper underground, the better.
Oh, he's good. He's older, so he seems like he has a way about his writing.
Yeah, and I'm assuming he actually is from New York, so he's kind of got that attitude, it seems.
A bit gruff.
Yeah, so, hey, I'm on board with this. He's saying the things I wish I knew how to say about Subway.
But you're not going to go try it.
Yeah, and so, now I don't have to taste it, and he did. So if you trust Steve Cuozzo, maybe don't go give the new Subway menu items a shot.
I don't think I've ever seen someone, when doing a food review, say it had a cat foody perfume. Puzzlingly tasted like it might once have been tuna, because you tried the tuna sandwich still. But how long ago was beyond my trained palate's ability to discern.
This is why he is writing for the New York Post. Because he knows how to really paint a picture with his words.
Yeah, in the beginning when you showed me his thing, I was like, well, I don't really care about his thoughts on it. I might actually.
Yeah.
He has a way with words.
It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
The first reviews are in for The Suicide Squad.
So that's the second one?
Well, kind of.
Okay. Or is that a prequel, or what is it? It
is a restart of the franchise. They're basically rebooting it. However, Margot Robbie is still Harley Quinn, but and I think maybe a couple of the actors are the same from the first movie. But
that's the one with the trailer where it was like so different than the first Suicide Squad movie.
Right. A lot of the characters are different. A lot of is
that the shark looking guy?
Yeah, that's Sylvester Stallone is the voice of the shark. King Shark.
Oh gosh.
And so it is. They're calling it a restart, although it still keeps some certain things from the previous Suicide Squad movie, which was not very well received. Mm-hmm. A few people, it had a kind of cult following, I feel, but it was not well reviewed. People didn't like it, and for good reason. But this one seems to be different. This is the James Gunn directed version. You may remember him from doing Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So he's got a good track record in that regard. And the reviews are in, and they are calling it... we just have a couple.
Some words we can't say.
No.
From his review.
Gleefully goes all out with mayhem. We can't say that.
That one's okay. I'm looking at some other ones.
Bonkers. Absolutely insane.
Violent seems to be the other one.
So it sounds like they really go all out with it. And even Kara Warner, I don't know who she is, but she's somebody who was able to see the movie ahead of time, a film critic, and she said this skeptic loved the Suicide Squad.
So when is it supposed to come out, though?
It is. I just saw a commercial for it yesterday.
Is it soon?
I think it's August 6th. Don't quote me on that, but early in August, the movie will be out. And I'm sure if we scroll past all of these reviews, which
we'll find
they posted, August 5th.
August 5th.
It'll be on HBO Max and in theaters.
What was the other one I keep seeing ads for? I feel like there's some movies that are creeping up on us.
Yeah.
The Jungle Cruise.
Oh, Jungle
one.
Cruise. Yeah.
With The Rock that.
Yeah, they've been promoting that one a lot.
And that's, I think, in a week or two or a few weeks.
I don't know. It's hard. It feels like in the olden days, 2 years ago, we used to have all of the film release dates all nailed down because it's like, well, this is when I'm going to the theaters. And now that we've gone a year without the theaters,
sure,
it kind of, that doesn't feel top of mind anymore. Even though you're excited about the new movies, it's not as much, I need to make sure I'm at the theater to see it right away.
I think that's totally all on us. Like, we just got away from watching movies the same way. And now I don't even think about, Friday's coming up or what's coming up in the next month. I usually find out right about the time it comes out.
Yeah. So we're on top of the game here with Suicide Squad, and that's because they've let some people release their reviews. They're at least brief.
This is way ahead.
Yeah. But they did this with Black Widow too, remember? And I think it's partially because they're trying to
drum up support.
Talk to people like us that aren't going to remember that it's coming. And also, when the reviews are really positive, when they know they've got something good, then they want to start building that groundswell of support for it so that you remember, like, hey, it's not that Suicide Squad is coming out this weekend and it may or may not be good. It's like, hey, you've been hearing for weeks that Suicide Squad is great and now you can finally see it.
Well, it makes sense because the trailer I don't feel was as well received.
Really?
No, I didn't.
I don't even remember the trailer, but
it was just like, it was all right.
This was the worst of the riot, and we'd like to congratulate you on having the stomach to stick around to the very end. The riot exists because RadioU exists, and RadioU only exists because of your support. Find out more and give now at RadioU.com/donate.